And for more on the subject, we're being joined now by former Pentagon official Michael Maloof. Mike, always good to see you.
Thank you.
So we know now both Washington and Moscow, they've confirmed the meeting between Trump and Putin. This will be their first official summit rather than, just the little sideline meeting here and there chat. The EU leaders, though, they seem really unhappy about this meeting. Why?
Well, they have issues with Russia because of Ukraine and Crimea. They've been trying to set up a united front. They really balked at the suggestion by President Trump that Russia should be readmitted into the G7, and they were all upset about that as he left to have a very successful negotiation with Kim Jong-un in North Korea. That even upset them even more because he was so hospitable to them, but not to him, but not to them. So I think you also have to consider Trump does not like the EU. He's down on NATO. They're not keeping up their bargain of payments. Plus, he's beginning to send signals it's too expensive. And that meeting, his meeting with Putin's coming right after that. So there's some concern that he may give a blast.
Is there a
during the
message
meeting.
there?
Yeah,
Is there
there's
a message that
going
it's
to be a
back
big
to back?
message. There's going to be a big message. So I think he's going to be. I think that Trump is going to show that we need to open up, and it's coming at a very critical time. Vladimir Putin once again raised the specter of the 100-ton megatonnage nuclear weapon. And I think one of the things we're going to see is a desire by the United States and Putin to work on greater nuclear negotiations to try to tamp that threat down. And I think it's also a message to our neocons back at home that we're not going to be moving NATO right up against the Russian border. So there's a lot of signals here, a lot of things to cover in a few hours, and I think that they will have a pretty good negotiation.
A lot of reading between the lines from this meeting. But Angela Merkel herself, we know she has a pretty good relationship with Vladimir Putin herself. Some argue her relationship with Putin is better than her relationship with Trump. Could you imagine any reason she and her French counterpart, Emmanuel Macron, would discourage this summit? I mean, as you and I were talking off camera, that Angela Merkel's essentially, we know why she's being nice to Putin, because of the natural gas stuff.
Sure. But at the same time, they have the issue of sanctions against Crimea, because of Crimea and Ukraine. Trump has also got another reason, which is going to be directly in opposition to what the Europeans want. He wants to open up larger businesses, transactions, particularly in the oil and gas area. And this is going to compete directly with the Europeans as well.
And they don't want that.
They don't want that.
Now, as you mentioned earlier about the G7, Trump's comments at the G7 a couple of weeks ago made his counterparts really uneasy. That famous photo of everyone with their arms crossed staring at Trump as he's sitting down, saying that he said that Russia should be readmitted, make it the G8 again. He contends that having a good relationship with Russia cannot be a bad thing. So in terms of global negotiations, is this a good outlook to try to view everyone as a potential friend?
In the case of Russia, it's almost indispensable in strategic and geopolitical relations that you have to have good relations with Russia. It's a superpower. It has nuclear weapons. And there are also a lot of issues common that we share with the Russians, particularly on terrorism and trade. And I think that this is an effort to try to get back on track that relationship between the two, which even Vladimir Putin admitted has not been very good lately.
Not lately. It's certainly fallen off track, I would say, since the 80s, since the Reagan era.
Well, certainly since he came into power.
So I guess we're going to wait and see in a couple of weeks. Mike, we'll be back to talk more about that. Thank you so much, as always, sharing your expertise with us. Michael Maloof.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe to never stop questioning more.